I always, give credit where credit is due. I got this from my preparation coming up here on the plane. I read finished a spiritual book that I was reading called Dreaming of God, and then I read a whole book. One of the things for preparation that's really powerful for your practice and your mindset is reading outside of the profession and seeing that's way more powerful than reading inside of the profession. And so I read a dental book on the way over here, okay? And it was pretty cool. I mean, most of it was just, it was okay. 90% of it, kind of threw out, but 10% of it was pretty good. And I got some good stuff out of it. And I just want to go over basically 3 things that we're going to bring you guys through, like the process to think about. It's really for everybody. But it's kind of like, I'm sure you guys have all heard like the unconscious competence,
Yeah.
that whole progression, that unconscious, incompetence, unconscious incompetence.
4 quadrants, yeah.
Incompetence and then conscious competence. Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of like that, right? It's very similar, but you have interesting concept. You be you, uncomfortable being you, or no, it's not like this. Uncomfortable being uncomfortable. Okay, we'll cover all this. So you have you be you, UBC, uncomfortable being comfortable, uncomfortable being uncomfortable, uncomfortable being comfortable. And I'm going to attempt to teach this. And comfortable being comfortable. A little strange, but it kind of goes along with what we're doing here. So uncomfortable being uncomfortable is kind of like, and this may be a little bit a lower level than where you guys are at, but it's kind of like maybe the first time you got up, like in a training, to do a doctor's report. You've never done one before, right? And you're like, well, this isn't me. Like you sit down, you're like, that was just awkward. Like I feel like I'm being somebody that I'm not. It's like this very, very awkward feeling. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Like you go to do a script, and it's very uncomfortable, right? So uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable being uncomfortable, getting out of your comfort zone, right? So here, what you are here is like, this is, well, I'll just read it to you. I'm not going to write it all up here. But there's impatience there, there's anger. I've had that, over the years coaching Maximize Living docs, like they get pissed. They'd walk out of the training and you're like, I don't need to do a doc's report, or there was nothing wrong with that. That was fine. Or I don't need to be like this person or that person. I can be myself. They start like justifying away. They're just angry. Like they don't like the fact that they just had to get up out of their comfort zone, and they're doing this thing, this doc's report. And it's like they hear other guys screaming and yelling, and it's like they're starting to walk into something that they feel this very, very uncomfortable in. And that's just this is going to be a natural progression. So there's impatience, there's anger, there's frustration. Because you're being stretched. Okay? CAs, if you're doing these scripts, okay? We're uncomfortable being uncomfortable because we want to be there overnight. We just want to watch someone do a doctor's report, just go back to our offices and do the doctor's report. But it's not how it works. Okay? The commitment to change is in an instant, but to live the change takes a bit longer. And that's what creates the frustration and the anger and the impatience. You see? Because we just want it to happen overnight. So there's a progression here. There's a level. There's a journey of mastery. And you have uncomfortable being comfortable. And what is that? The image I got when I was reading the book, what popped into my head. Has anybody ever watched Forrest Gump? When he's running, and then the braces fall off, and he looks down. He's like,
Yeah.
you got to do a doctor's report at the end. Someone that you get like $5,000 PIF. You're like, wow, did that just happen? You're like, holy smokes, no one's ever paid me $5,000 in cash before. I used to get $5 checks from Medicare, and now I'm getting $5,000. Wow, you're sprinting. So what happens is you're uncomfortable being comfortable. You're like, holy smokes, but then you go home, and now you're like, wow, what happens when I go to my next doctor's report? Is that going to happen? You start kind of getting anxious. You're like, is this really happening? And then you go to your next report and you fall flat on your face. And you're like, man, I knew this whole doctor's report Maximize Living thing sucked. I knew I joined the wrong group. But you're elated, the last doctor's report. So what happens is now you have to stay in there because you want to go right back. You want to go right back to this impatience. You want to get frustrated again, because it's just not working out. But you have to stay in there and you have to keep training to get mastery, just like you're doing tonight. So a little bit more. So wow. So some of the thoughts you may have are, wow, like you're doing it actually in your mind while you're saying, you're like, wow, where did those words come from? Or what made me act that way? Or I didn't know that I had that in me. Like these are the thoughts that you're uncomfortable being comfortable. It's happening, but you're like, wow, it's like that's not really me. This feels uncomfortable, but it's happening. It's starting to produce results. You see, you're moving in a different dimension. So there's still a level of uncomfortable or uncomfort because you almost don't recognize yourself. You see, you start moving. You're starting to become something that this old person over here is trying to pull you back from becoming. You see, and people, maybe your staff, your CA, sometimes CAs say stuff to the doctor like, I can't believe you said that, or a family member hears you say something, or whatever. There's negative talk either inside your own head or other people speaking that, trying to drag you back to where you were. Okay? So, with uncomfortable being comfortable, people, they start sitting up and taking notice of you. Okay? You become a louder voice. You start developing an ability for confrontation because you start having a feeling like you really start getting that feeling in you that it's really not about you anymore. That's really that kind of that worm starts turning in you, and you start getting outside of yourself. And while you're getting outside of yourself, your brain is like, whoa, hey, come on back, trying to drag you back. Okay. Your ability to come face to face with things and people really starts increasing. And in this stage, it's not about perfection. In fact, there's a lot of uncertainty in this phase. Okay. And then, of course, the last phase is comfortable being comfortable. Someone tell me what they think that may be. What do you guys think? Or maybe a little bit of description.
CPC.
Yeah, CPC. What's that? Very confident in yourself, right? Okay. So just the confidence is just going through the roof. And really, in essence, what this is you're now starting to enter the zone. Like when you do your report, you just become like a different human being. When I come out of my report, and Joelle and a lot of you guys in here, you come out and you're like a different person. Like my staff, my wife looks at me like right after I come out of my report, I go, don't come around me after I come out of the report. I'm like possessed. Like I go home and I'm like, it's like I step out of this like whole thing. I'm like, what happened? It's like something overtakes me in that report. And it doesn't matter how tired I am or whatever, it just wells up in you and it just drops. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It just, now, the principle, you aren't into the principle's in you. It's branded in your soul. That's who you are. And that's the only thing that can come out of you. And it doesn't matter who's in front of you. It doesn't. Last night, I went to see one of my patients at the hospital. He's been a patient for a while, but he just had about 30, 40 years of just rough life before he got to me. And there's a lot that happened to him. He had cancer, he had all these different things before he came to me. But went to the hospital, and he didn't eat all day yesterday, and for almost a full day he didn't eat, and he was outside in the heat, came in, and he probably got dehydrated. He was staggering around, and they called the ambulance, and because the family got really worried. Brought him, they said he had a mild heart attack. So I went right to the hospital last night after my shift, and he's laying there. They got him hooked up, and they did the angiogram. And on the angiogram, his heart was just like the most plaqued up heart. The vessels, it was unbelievable. You could see all the plaquings there, all the blockages. It was unbelievable. And he didn't want to be there. He wanted out of there. So I asked, when I first got there, I asked the nurse, because she handed me the angiograms. I was able to see them right away. I said, first question I asked, she's like, oh yeah, he'll be in open heart surgery tomorrow, and he'll be here for about a week, and I'll take a couple of months to rehab. I go, let me ask you a question. I go, what percentage of the people with this type of angiogram, this type of profile, what percent choose not to do the open heart surgery? What percent don't go home and don't do it? And she got nervous. She got really nervous because I was just asking innocently, but I started understanding she would not answer me. She was doing a tap dance, and for legality reasons, she would not give me an answer. And so I said, okay. Well, I go, she's like, I can't answer. She finally, she's like, she could tell I was staring at her, waiting for the answer. And she got convicted, and she's like, listen, I'll have the doctor talk to you about that. So I said, all right, I'll ask the doctor that question, the cardiologist. Okay. So I finally went around the corner, and then I went into his room, and I was sitting with him. He said, Doc, you got to adjust my neck. It's like, that's why he really wanted me over there. So doctors and the nurses are standing out there. I finally eventually got behind him, and I adjusted his spine, adjusted his cervicals. And then, so talking about as it relates to this confidence right here, see, this is the zone where there's this confidence. What I wrote down here is you experience ease, freedom, sometimes connection, but you become the mission, the principle. During your doctor's report, you're not into chiropractic, the principle in chiropractic is into you, but it's not only during your doctor's report, it's everywhere you go. And there's no fear, there's no trepidation. And standing up for the principle, it's not about confrontation. It's building on solid emotional, spiritual, and a physical foundation, and it takes a lot of camp work and a lot of different things that we don't have time for tonight. But I just wanted to finish the story here. He's at it. But by the way, when you're in this zone, comfortable being comfortable, that's when you go up 300, 400 visits, 500 visits, collections, new patients, everything goes through the roof, and you're not even, most of the time you stop focusing on all that stuff, and that's when it just explodes. So this doctor comes in the room, and there's another guy there, and then his daughter, Ed's daughter was there, and I just introduced myself to him, and I say, so can I ask you a question? Because right away he's like, this is what we're doing, 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 we're going to kind of open, boom, 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 boom. I go, let me ask you a question. I go, what percentage of, I asked him the same question, I go, what percentage? First of all, I don't even know if they did an exam, a history on him. I don't know if they did anything on him. So there's a lot I still have to find out. I said to him, I go, what percentage of people in this situation choose to go home and not get the surgery? Make a decision. He's like, 0. 0. And he starts getting heated up. He gets really defensive, and he gets really angry. I can see his whole body tighten up. I said, I'm going to eat your lunch. You want to know why? Because I was calm, I was confident, and I was going to make this guy sweat, because I was going to get answers, because I was there to save my patient's life. And he wasn't going to move me. And I didn't get any adrenaline. I just stayed calm, and I stayed relaxed. And because of that, I put this guy on his heels, and he literally ended up running out of the room, pissed off. Because I said to him, I go, what percentage? And he's like, 0. I said, he's like, yeah, 40, 50 people come in here a week, 0. They all need surgery. I said, so really? So I said, so out of every single person you see, I go 100% of them opt to have that surgery. 100% of them. So, well, no, there's a guy yesterday who's like 87 years old, and he decided not to have it, and I said, so it's not 0. I go, so, and I was talking calmly. I wasn't trying to confront him, but I was going to dig in. And he started just getting more heated up. He's like, this has to happen, this surgery has to happen, he can die, blah, 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 blah. And then the guy who was with me, who goes to the same church as Ed, says because he's into juicing and the natural raw foods, and we were talking about that right before this doctor came in, saying where I know the research, I've seen angiograms clear in 6 months with the biggest plaque in arteries. I've seen it clear. I've seen the evidence of it. I've read the papers. I've seen it on angiograms, and we were talking about that. So he's about 75 years old. The guy asked the doctor, he says, is it possible through nutrition, through lifestyle, to change that? Is that possible? He's like, impossible. Those arteries are clogged. If he doesn't get that, he's going to die. He'll die from a heart attack. It's impossible. It's like, there's never been any record ever for a reversal of that ever happening. That's it. This is done. He's getting the surgery. I go, really? I go, there's never been any record. I go, you know what? That's not the truth. I go, that is a lie. I go, that is an outright lie. I go, if you want, I could go home right now. I can get all of the research. If you want, give me your email address. I'll send it to you. I go, I can give you all that evidence. I give you all the evidence you need. He's like, that is a lie. And he starts going off. This guy goes so angry. I go, if you want the research, I'll show it to you. And I said, by the way, I go, let me ask you a question. I go, what medical school did you go to? He's like, I'm not telling you. I'm like, really? You're not going to tell me? Okay. You don't want me to know what medical school you went to? Because I was just going to ask him, I was going to ask him the next question, have you ever had a nutrition class? Have you ever taken a nutrition class? Do you know anything about nutrition? And I was going to press, and this guy's office is right across the street from my office, I found out, and he works out of this hospital. I just kept pressing in. He's like, it doesn't matter what you do, nutrition, diet. He starts yelling. He's like, exercise, nothing. Everybody in this country is going to die from a heart attack or stroke eventually. It does not matter. And he starts yelling, going crazy. And we're calm. We're just looking at him. And I said, so again, what medical school did you graduate from? And he just gets angry, and he just storms out of the room. And I just sat there calm, relaxed, and I talked it through with my patient. And my patient does not want to do the heart surgery, but the thing is that I was pressing in with questions, and I put this guy on his heels because I know the research I prepare. And I told Ed, I was citing reference sources from the Journal of the American Medical Association. I was throwing out sites, I was throwing out names, I was throwing out the chief of cardiology at Mayo Clinic. I threw out his name and his research papers. And I was throwing stuff out at him. It was making his head spin. And that's why he got so angry. Because I was prepared, I was anchored, I was grounded, and I just came out of my office. And I was in state. And this guy couldn't move me. I didn't get upset. I went home cool, calm, and collected. I was relaxed. That ruined that guy's day. Because no one ever challenged him, no one ever questioned him. And that guy just rips people's chests open left and right. And he's full of shit, that guy. He's full of S-H-I-T. And you can put that on tape as well. You see? You see, when you own the principle, and you research and you prepare, it's not that you want to start fights and get in people's face, but you can confront. I don't care if there's 5 medical doctors in front of me and during my report. I'm more prepared than they'll ever be in their entire life. You want to know why? Because I have purpose, they don't. They don't have purpose. What's the purpose of setting a broken bone? Put a Band-Aid on, a laceration? Is that purpose? All right. In an emergency room, it's purpose. Check someone in vaccination, an antibiotic. There's no purpose in that. That's anti-purpose. That's anti-principle. That's anti-purpose. See? So that's confident. Confident or comfortable being comfortable. I'm okay. I'm okay in the middle of my doctor's report that happening. I'd be okay.
Yeah.
Want to know why? Because I would win the day. If that guy was in I'd have that exchange in the middle of 10, 15 people, and I'd be completely comfortable. I wouldn't get rocked. If there was someone, I'd ask him to leave. I reign and rule over that doctor's report arena. You see? I'm totally comfortable in my skin where I'm at. That's why we're gonna do some training right now, so we can start working toward those levels. We all have our feet, and sometimes we kind of go in and out of these different levels. But hopefully that didn't scare anybody. That is intense. But that guy, the guy needed truth spoken into his life, and I got him thinking. I got planted some seeds there. My goal, my purpose wasn't to confront. It was to let the principle win the day. The challenge. So anyway, let's see.
The last 5 minutes, the video's been shaken.
Been what?
I said the last 5 minutes, the video's been shaken.
Shaking. Good.
Making us nervous over here.
The MDs who
good.
sit through your doctor report, when you're comfortable being comfortable right here, the MDs, they all want to become chiropractors. That's how you know you're hitting the target. They all want. I love when MDs are in my report. I love it. I get excited when they come because they all want to become chiropractors after the doctor's report. See? It's the chiropractors I have a problem with in my town. They're the ones that all hate me. Actually, all the MDs I got along, except now I have one. Problem. But okay, so Dr. Christian, come on up. Okay, so tell us what your the 3 fears are.
The 3 fears were the clothes, talking about money, and what was the other one? It was all my X-ray stories just tend to not be very well joined together.
Continuity.
Yeah, the stories
Okay. Okay, so go ahead and do your close like you normally do. Okay, so just not trying to emphasize anything or go over the top, whatever. Just do it how so your doc's report, and you're just going to start and do it as you normally do it.
Okay, so after seeing everything that we just went over, how many of you here know somebody who's at home who, like these people, is sick, suffering, who's dying, who's popping pills every single day because they just don't have an answer? How many of you people know people like that? Raise your hands if you know somebody who's taking high blood pressure medication, if you know a mother who's giving their child Ritalin because they just don't know what else to do. Who knows somebody like that? Who knows somebody like that?
Yeah.
Who would be willing to reach out to those people and to let them know that there's another way, that there's something else that you could be doing that can change and transform your life, that can save your life? Who would be willing to do that? Raise your hand if you'd be willing to help me. And that's
Okay.
how to do that.
All right, so some of you guys are writing, some of you are just listening. What's the first thing? I want some critiquing here. Go around just for each segment of this. What was the thing that struck you that an area of improvement?
He wasn't really looking at it.
So clearly physiology, eye contact, energy. By the way, where is he on the uncomfortable being uncomfortable, comfortable being uncomfortable, comfortable being comfortable? Or was he there?
Uncomfortable.
What's that? First one right here? Okay. So clearly it's just physiology, eye contact, energy, posture. Not commanding at all. So that was an issue there. What else? What do you guys see?
Yeah, I thought that the words that he was saying were disjointed from the physiology that he was showing.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So he was saying powerful words, but he was kind of standing off to the side, not making eye contact.
So why don't you, as we're going through this, write it down too, kinesthetic, so you're learning it, because now what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply it, we're gonna install it here in a minute. So this isn't like a breaking down part. This is a building up session right now. So we want it to be instructional. So make sure you get it all down. This is what we all saw. Okay. At one time. All at the same time. So it's kind of a disjointedness. Did you when I said do it like you normally do it without going over the top, did you feel like you toned it down, or was that the actual level you're usually?
Usually the level.
Okay.
Yeah, that's usually.
Okay. Now, here's the deal. To make it so it's still you, but it's more intentional. Things are not disjointed. There's a congruency with your words, your body language, and you feel it more here. Where are you feeling that when you're speaking? Where are you feeling that? You're feeling that where? Are you feeling it here? Are you feeling it here? Are you feeling it here? Where are you feeling it? If you could point to one or put your hand on one part of your body here, where do you feel it's coming from?
Probably more from here than.
Okay. Okay. It's important to recognize that. So it's not the shift we're trying to make here in terms of who you are in front of me. It's not like a radical shift in the way of becoming a screaming maniac. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're just looking for congruency in these areas: eye contact, energy, posture. So just standing here without being animated or pressing play and going into it again, just show me what the next level would look like if you did go to the next level with your report. How would this part be improved just by standing? Just go ahead and stand. If you were going to improve what you just did, just go ahead and stand. Stand in a more powerful posture.
So you're saying, okay.
What would your posture look like if you're going to be more powerful than the last one?
Well, I probably wouldn't play with my hands as much,
Mm-hmm.
and I would probably just stand more like this, and my hand gestures would be more purposeful than just fiddle. Right? Just standing here like this. So whenever I would want to make a point, I would make a point instead of sitting here.
Okay, so let's write this distinction now. Can you write it down for him? Can you write, yeah, can you write it down for him? We really want to integrate. I mean, again, these little things, right? They make all the difference in the world. So if we can pick up 2, 3, 4, 5 even little distinctions. We don't have to have a massive breakthrough while you're standing up here. We just want a couple little breakthroughs. That's it, or a couple little distinctions. Okay. If we do have a great big massive breakthrough, then great. Let it come. You know, God is good. But so, you know, just looking at your shoulders too. Right? Keeping your shoulders back a little bit.
The other thing is squaring off. You're at an angle, and when you were talking to us, your body's at an angle, you know, and that to me is like, you don't really want to face us fully, is the interpretation there.
That's a defensive posture.
Well, that may be
Yeah.
also because we're in a circle, like I think.
Yeah, but when you're in a half circle like this,
Yeah.
you're standing in the center and you're squaring off to the peak of the arch, and then you can turn and face, but you're
you're still like you're square with whoever you're with, right? Okay.
So instead of him standing in one spot, maybe he should be looking down so that you can see it, comes off there.
What did you say?